Hello. Right. Okay. So I hope you all got my message that today is going to be a question and answer session. So you are welcome to ask me questions. You can say, yeah, you can ask vague questions or very specific questions about specific problems. Just opening the notes for the webinar. So hopefully that will be useful. And I hope you've brought lots of questions to discuss. So just give me a moment. So webinar year 1206 Q&A. And it's the 11th October 2022 still. Right. Okay, so okay, that's a good question. How to start tackling a problem? Well, well, first, it's always good to have a look at what we've already done. So look at the webinars and just see how I approach problems, how I explain them. Look through the examples. Examples are very good. So do the examples yourself. Yeah, do the examples yourself. What is the what? Oh, okay. Okay. Right. What I'm mostly here to start tackling the problems. Yeah. So and then you try to find. So there's lots of problems solved like this on YouTube. So I mean, as much as original as we can get, will probably never. Even the problems that I make up myself, like an apple falls on my head one Friday afternoon, and I think, oh, that's a brilliant problem about an apple. Let's say the apple bounces off your head, blah, blah, blah. And you won't be, and I won't be surprised if exactly that problem has already been solved on YouTube. You just need to, well, need to be patient and looking for that. So yeah, I'd say look through the examples, search on YouTube. What is the best way to revise maths and further maths? The only way to do it is just practice. I mean, just doing lots of practice questions. There's I won't say anything new here. What you can watch videos where people go through similar problems and then tackle them yourself. A very good thing, you have a solved example. For example, for COMPOS, you have an assignment. There's a solved example. Do it yourself and check that you get the same answer as we do. Adrika, hello. Hadn't been able to answer for a bit. A ball is kicked from ground level at initial velocity of 60 at an angle theta reaches. What is the size of the angle theta? That's an excellent question. It's the next topic. It is the next topic for COMPOS. We'll do projectile motion, but you need to understand that if you throw the ball at an angle theta with velocity v, the horizontal distance sx, the horizontal distance is v cos theta t, and the vertical distance is v sine theta t minus 1/2 gt squared. This is just the Suvat formula. And when it lands, when you travel, you understand the important thing is that the vertical displacement, the displacement is how far you've traveled, and how far you've traveled vertically is 0 because you start from the ground and you end on the ground. So Sy, the vertical displacement, is 0. And from here, you can work it out. So I make t the subject of the first one. It's v, so sx divided by v cos theta, and I plug it into here. So it's v sine theta multiplied by sx, the horizontal distance, divided by v cos theta, minus 1/2 g sx squared v squared cos squared theta, and that is equal to 0. And what are we looking for? What is the size of the angle theta? You know the distance, you know the velocity. Yeah, you see, you know everything, and you just need to solve for theta here. Yeah, I won't deny you the fun. Oh, okay, I'll do a couple more steps here. So v cancels. I hope I didn't make a mistake here. So here you have sx0, so sine theta divided by cos theta. So I divide by sine x, so by sx, sorry, sx, minus 1/2 g sx v squared cos squared theta. I can cancel the cos theta, that's equal to 0. Sx is equal to 2 v squared sine theta cos theta divided by g. I think that is the correct formula. Well, I mean, it's all comes from here. And this can be written as v squared sine 2 theta divided by g. And all you need to do is use that formula. So you have the distance is 200 is equal to 60 squared sine 2 theta divided by g, which is 9.8. And you solve for theta. Solve for theta. Okay, sorry to have taken so much time on this, but hope that helps. Alfie, in problem 11 of physics, the horizontal tension of the rope at A and the horizontal tension of the rope at B equal. The horizontal tension of the rope at A, let me open. Let me open the assignment. Are we talking year 12, right? Yeah, please specify. If you're referring to a question, please specify which year, year 11 or year 12. So question 11. So F11, from 11. The horizontal tension. Well, if you have like, look, you have forces on the rope, and there are just a few forces. There's the mg pulling down, and there's the tension pulling that way and tension pulling that way. So because the rope is stationary, yeah, of course, horizontal components have to be the same. Okay, so you split this into components. You split this into components, and yes, because it is stationary, it has to be the same. I won't go too far into this question, but yeah, you're on the right track. Also, any resources or YouTube channels for maths and further maths? You know what? I think a very good thing would be to ask in our chat, and I think people would recommend you some YouTube resources. Khan Academy, yeah, we use them. We use links to them. So that's a fantastic resource. Lots of stuff. So yeah, try that. Can you go to similar problem, similar question, problem 18 in maths? Are we talking year? I'm going to skip that question because I'm not sure. You need to repeat that question, please. To include the year. For problem 15 of math, since the equation is quadratic, how can it have more than two roots? Exactly. You need to watch webinar number 2, which explains that if it has more than two roots, that means it's not a quadratic. Because a quadratic cannot have more than two roots, therefore, it's not a quadratic, right? Omar, a question on acceleration. Oh, okay. The skateboarder starts from rest at the top of a ramp at A and leaves the ramp at B horizontally. Then the acceleration decreases as the skateboard moves from A to B. Starts from rest at the top of the ramp and leaves that ramp at B horizontally with velocity. Explain why the acceleration decreases moves from A to B. That's a good question. And that is a good question. You need to understand, if you are on a slope, with no friction, and the slope is theta, and you're standing on a skateboard with, once again, no friction, you need to draw the forces acting. So you draw the mg force, this is the downwards force, and the normal reaction force. Normal reaction and mg. Now, if you split the mg into components, this is mg sine theta, and this is mg cos theta. And then you write Newton's second law along the ramp, because you're moving along the ramp. This is your x-axis, and your acceleration in that direction, or mass acceleration, is equal to this, because this is the only force pushing you along the slope. So mass times your acceleration along the slope is equal to mg sine theta. Now m cancels, and your acceleration on a ramp is g sine theta. This is your acceleration. And now imagine you have multiple ramps. You have a ramp like this. You have a ramp like this. And you have a ramp ramp like this. In other words, theta is the gradient of the ramp. Theta. Theta is the gradient of the ramp. And as theta decreases, the smaller the theta, the smaller acceleration. So if acceleration, if theta is smaller, for acceleration is smaller, if theta is smaller. And when you're on a ramp, what's happening is the ramp looks like this. It doesn't look flat, it looks like this. And therefore, because the gradient, the theta decreases, that means your acceleration decreases. Acceleration, because theta decreases. Hope that makes sense. So theta angle of the slope decreases, acceleration decreases. However, now while I was doing this, I realized maybe the question is about friction, and the faster you go, the higher the friction, the higher the resistive forces like air resistance and friction. Therefore, maybe because of that, so you would say as you go faster, the air resistance increases, so your acceleration decreases. Okay. Question on acceleration. So Omar, hope I answered that. Any tips for question 3 on the physics assignment, because I can only solve it with calculus? Webinar, the first webinar explains it very well. If you can do it with calculus, I am impressed. But please have a look at webinar 01. What percentage is looked for required to pass the entrance exam, and where should we revise in addition to Khan Academy, Isaac for maths? This video. Do we need to look at the reason? Well, we try to cover all aspects, but I mean, some things you are expected to know. Like, am I not sharing? I'm very sorry, guys. Yeah. Oh, that is yes, should have shouted out. I'm very sorry. I was going through the questions one by one. So going back to the first question. Okay, so the horizontal distance. Can you see this? Can you see the screen now? Okay, good. I'm so, really apologize for that. But do shout out if something like this happens. Do let me know sooner. You can shout out through the mic. Okay, so the horizontal distance is given by the formula Sx equals v cos theta times t. That's the horizontal distance traveled by the projectile. The vertical displacement of the projectile is given by this formula. It's a Suvat formula. So it's the initial velocity times time minus 1/2 acceleration times t squared. Because the initial vertical velocity is v sine theta, and the initial horizontal velocity is v cos theta. And then what I do, I make t the subject of the first formula, and I put this into here, into the second equation. And then all I do is I make theta the subject. So if you go through that, that should work fine. By the way, you can always follow the whiteboard using this link. The next question was about the rope, and you need to look at the forces at A. So this is the force at A. This is the tension force. And then you look at the force at B, and then you split it into components. And yes, you can see that the horizontal components must be the same. And this is mg. Mg, this is tension, this is T something something theta, this is T something something theta. I don't want to go too deep into this question. Now, the next question was about the skateboard and the ramp. And you can see that the acceleration of the skateboard is g sine theta because of the way the forces. I'm just going to walk you through this a bit again. So there are two forces acting on the skateboard, mg and n. N is the normal reaction force. We split mg into components, 1 and 2, and this is mg sine theta, and this is mg cos theta. The only force that is accelerating you along the ramp is this one. This is the force accelerating you along the ramp. So Newton's second law, mass acceleration equals mg sine theta. So acceleration is g sine theta. And then I was talking about reducing the angle. If you're reducing the angle, theta gets smaller. So you see acceleration depends on theta. The smaller the theta, the smaller the acceleration. So for smaller theta, we have smaller acceleration. And when you go down a ramp, the angle decreases. The angle decreases, therefore, the angle of the slope decreases, the acceleration decreases. Also, you could argue that as you go faster, the air resistance increases, therefore the resultant force decreases, therefore your acceleration decreases. Okay. Right. Any tips for question? Okay. What percentages looked for required to pass? So last year, everyone who got 50% and above got in. We don't know what's going to be this year, because we have a bigger cohort, but we do have more places. So we have 150 places. 150 places for this year, for year 12s, and 150 places for year 13s. So far we have, I don't want to scare you, we have 900 applications. We have 900 applications. It tends to, so we usually have half the people just not submitting the first assignment. So they open the assignment, they see it's too difficult, they don't submit it. So we're looking for about 450 completed works, and so 1 out of 3 roughly. That's what you should be expecting. So I'm thinking it's going to be slightly above 50% this year. Last year, we had 240 submissions. Oh, actually, 240 people submitted last year. 110 got in. Okay, so slightly less than a half. I think a similar situation is going to be this year. Would you mind quickly giving us the rundown on Vietta's formula? Okay, Vietta's formula. Let's label it So the Vieta's formula looks like this. It says that if a quadratic equation has two solutions, then x1, x2 is c divided by a. Whereas the sum of the two roots, x2, is equal to minus b divided by a. Okay, so this is the Vieta's formula. You could easily prove it by writing out that x1 is minus b, apologies, x1 x1 is minus b plus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, and writing out that x2 is equal to b minus, and then if you add the two, you will get this. It simplifies to this, and if you multiply them, it simplifies to this. Okay, so that's the proof of Vieta's formula. Now, how it works? Well, if you have a quadratic equation, let's say x squared minus 5x plus 4 equals 0. You could potentially factorize it, but you could use Vieta's formula. It's up to you which one you prefer. I recommend you to memorize the Vieta's formula, because you will encounter it in further maths next year or even this year. So here what we do is we have x1, x2 is equal to c divided by a, so it's 4 divided by 1, and x1 plus x2 is equal to 5 divided by 1. So we have two numbers which multiply to make 4 and add to 5. So x1 is 1, x2 is 4, and that's it. That's how you use it. And you can use it with more complicated stuff. So hopefully that makes sense. Omar is a skateboarder. Okay, sorry, but I was stuck on the last two questions of the COMPOS. You need to be more specific. Sedan, you need to be more specific. What's the best way to stop on A-level physics if you're struggling with understanding the content? A-level physics. Well, do COMPOS. Because if you to do COMPOS, you need an understanding of physics on a deeper level than just doing A levels. Well, you can read about physics. I recommend Richard Feynman. He's a brilliant author. His books are amazing. He also has videos. What else? What else to recommend? Well, yeah, reading about physics, and then just I don't know. I started my physics journey when I was about 13, and I read a book which was called Physics is Fun, and I loved it. So that's how I got into physics. So reading around, watching YouTube videos helps. So if you're struggling to understand the concept, do watch some videos on this concept. It depends on what you are understanding. Are you understanding the physics, or you're not understanding the maths. These are two different problems, because sometimes you understand the physics, but then you can't put it down in math terms. If you're struggling with math, that's one thing. If you're struggling with understanding what physically what's going on, it's another. I don't know how to answer this question, Buddy. Yeah, just spend spend time and like train your brain to to think as a physicist. So honestly, when I go for a walk, I just observe what's around me, and I think about forces. I think about gravity. I think about why things happen. Like why is the pavement cracked? Well, for example, I go for a walk, and there's a pavement and there are cracks, and the cracks appear when water seeps into the cracks, seeps into the pavement, and then it freezes in the winter. And when it freezes, it expands because the ice is less dense than water, and the crack appears because of the freezing. And why does water expand when it freezes? That's a whole other amazing question. Why does it? Because the molecules rearrange in a way that the density decreases. It doesn't happen with other substances. I think lead is another example where it happens, but otherwise not. So yeah, these are this is uh, my sort of life. Some people think it's sad, but I think it's absolutely amazing, because you understand, you see things differently. Okay. Answer my question. What did you study at university? I studied pretty much everything. I had three things. I studied computer science, I studied physics, and I studied maths. And then my master's was on aerodynamics. So I was studying aerodynamics. But rather than just studying aerodynamics, I was studying how to record the results of the experiments into a database. So it was like all three subjects combined. So pretty much. Cannot see your screen. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Do you think school examples focus too much on memorizing applications rather than adapting? Problem solving skills. Yes. So that's the thing. That's why we created COMPOS Jed. Excellent question. We do focus on problem solving, and physics is about problem solving. If you look at if you look at like people in top positions in banks, in all sorts of businesses, you will see that there's a lot of physicists there, because physics teaches you how to solve problems, and more importantly, it teaches you how to formulate a problem. Okay, I'd say even math teaches you how to solve problems, and physics teaches you how to formulate a problem. And formulating a problem is very important. If you want something to work, you have to explain exactly what you want this thing to do. For example, if you want to create a rocket that goes to Mars, you can't just say, I need a rocket that goes to Mars. No, you have to be very, very specific with all the details. It has to have this sort of capacity. It has this sort of mass. It needs this sort of fuel that will take it. I don't know. There's a lot of things going on there. So I think because the exam boards, the it's sort of, they don't allow you to be too much creative, because they have a very strict criteria on how they assess your work, and they only can ask very specific questions. And if a question doesn't fit into, they have a large list of the they have a large list of things that they have that a question has to be. It has to be this amount, this difficult. It has to include this information. So it's quite limited. The people who create these problems, they're limited in what they can do. So they can't give you questions where you have to use too much imagination. Okay, they won't allow these kinds of questions. So in a way, it is limited. Problem 12 in the physics assignment. Any hints on how to start solving it? You need to be more specific. Year 12, is it? Oh, sorry. It is. We are doing a year 12 webinar. Of course, it is a question about year 12. Problem 12. Maybe consider that the rope is not a whole thing, but consists of individual pieces. Up to how many? Maybe cut the rope and see what you can get. Yeah, try cutting the rope. Okay. Joined the course a few days ago. That was said before I joined. Omar, these two assignments are the entrance exam to COMPOS. Okay. You COMPOS has several main parts. So one of the parts is me, my webinars, and webinars of other teachers. Sometimes they take webinars. But also there are tutorials in small groups, and to access these tutorials, you need to be successful in the entrance exam. And the first assignment is the entrance exam. So it is due Sunday. We will be marking it for at least a week. That's I'd be surprised if we do it in a week. Probably 2 weeks. We'll need 2 weeks to mark them, and then you will know after 2 weeks. So by the end of October, you will know whether you're in or not. Finding two questions. Hi, sorry, I'm late, but I was finding the last two questions of the year. Yes, so I think I've discussed these questions. So for problem 13 was pretty much solved in webinar number 1. In webinar number 1, and the problem 12, I think I've just given you hints. So you need to cut the rope. I think that's the biggest hint I need to give you. Okay, a trick question. It's a very specific question, David. Yeah, trig equations have infinite solutions. It always you need to know the range. Cos squared x. Well, try drawing it. Look, cos squared x. So you open Desmos. Cos squared x equals cos squared x plus 6 cos x, 6 cos x plus 9 plus 9. So you plot the left hand side of the equation, And then you plot the right-hand side of the equation. 4 minus sine 4 minus sine to the power 8 x y equals. Doesn't like it. Okay. Doesn't like sine to the power x, so it has to be to the power of 8 sine x to the power 8. Okay, how many solutions on the interval? Oh yeah, it depends on the interval. Well, if you're looking at the standard interval is from 0 to 2 pi. 2 pi is 6.8, so there's only one solution. Yeah, so probably the answer is 1. Solutions in what range? Yes, would it be possible to go through question 4a and b on this PDF document? Binomial theorem. That's a bit too specific, guys. 4a and 4a and b. Look, I won't do this, but I'll do this. So you go to YouTube and you say using the binomial expansion formula. Okay, binomial expansion formula. And here we are. Brilliant example. Okay, not this one. And here we are. So yes. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was accidentally sending stuff to a specific person. Okay. Test. Okay. Yeah. So hope that makes sense. Haberdashers Academy Math, but probably shouldn't matter. It does. It does absolutely, David. That's the main thing. It's also learning complex stuff. Yes, 3 blue, 1 brown is an amazing, amazing thing. It's probably more high level stuff. What at least what I have seen. 3 blue, 1 brown. Vieta's formula. I've done that. It's all be on the recording if you missed it. Similar to problem 18 in maths year 12. 18 in maths year 12. The quadratic function. 18. Ooh, interesting. Well, let's have a look at question 18. Magnesium aluminium alloy contains 22 kilograms of aluminium. let's modify this question slightly. Contains, let's say, not 22 but 40 kilograms of aluminium and 20 kilograms of magnesium was added. Okay, so there was an alloy and it contains aluminium and magnesium. So there's 40 kilograms of aluminium and the rest is magnesium. So let's say there's X magnesium. Now the concentration of aluminium is 40 divided by 40 plus X. 40 plus X, that's the 10 times 100%. That's the percentage of aluminium. So I hope that helps. Percentage of aluminium. And of course, X divided by 40 plus X times 100 is the percentage of magnesium. Percentage of magnesium. Now, after adding, you just need to do a very similar thing. So you have a new alloy. There's some 20 kilogram magnesium is added. So now you have 40 and you have X plus 20. And you do a similar thing. Okay. So hope that helps. Aluminium, because yes. Are you using latex to write PDFs for the assignment? Yes, exactly. I'm using latex. I'm using Overleaf. Using Overleaf. It is if you have free time, it's one of the things you can learn because it's good. So that's how it looks like. Okay, so we have a text. This is the code. You write the code, and then it compiles into something beautiful. Yeah. So this is a piece of your assignment for physics assignment 10. Okay. So this is all the pictures are coded. They're not written down. Okay. A ball of mass 80 kg jumps from a height of 1 meter to a level floor, bounces back to a height of 0.81 meters. Find the speed of the ball just before it hits the floor. The speed of the ball after it has hit the floor. The coefficient of restitution. Well, this is a very basic question. I mean, it's a very straightforward question, and I mean it's a very standard question. Sorry, jump from the height. So you need to understand what's happening at a certain height. So if you have here, you have mgh. Your energy is mgh, and when you drop down, it is 1/2 mv squared. mv squared. So mgh equals 1/2 mv squared, and you m cancels and you find v, which is equal to 2gh, square root of 2gh. You just substitute the 1 and the g. Now when it bounces back, it has a different speed. Let's call it w, and it goes to a different height. So it's mgh1 equals 1/2 mw squared, and you find w equals square root of 2gh1 of the height of the bounce. So you plug in 0.8, and the coefficient of restitution is well, W divided by V. That's the coefficient. That's it. Just, yeah, plug in the numbers. Matthew, for problem 12 in the year 12 physics assignment, any hints how to start solving it? I think I said, cut the rope. Okay. Have you gone through the similar questions, perpendicular type ones on the assignment before? So which webinar? To the perpendicular type ones. What do you mean perpendicular type ones? I'm not sure. Type ones. Could you go through a similar question to question 13 on year 12 physics? Yeah, that was in webinar 1. So if you go to webinar 01, you'll find it. You'll find a pretty much solved. How did you get the first equations? And these ones, I assume. Well, because horizontally you're moving with constant speed. So Sx is equal Vx multiplied by t. But we also know that Vx, the horizontal speed, is this initial speed multiplied by cos theta. That's why you get V cos theta, theta t. And the y velocity is Vy, the initial velocity, vertical velocity. Okay, usually it's u. It's ux vt minus 1/2 gt squared. And then I know that what Vy is V sine theta. So plug it in and I get it. And I get this. Hi, is the entry test is not there for me. Can someone send the link, please? Arjun, text me on text me, please. The entry test is assignment 1 and yeah, physics assignment 1, physics assignment 1. It says same assignments. If you're on Google Classroom, you should see them. Marks results. Yeah, end of October. You'll get your results at the end of October. Are there any extensions? Are there any extension on these tasks? I am doing. Oh, is there any extension on these tasks? I'm doing. It's coming up. Oh, extensions, as in more time. You won't text me, explain the situation, and we'll make a we'll come up with a decision. All right, but don't do physics still. Okay, you need to do physics and maths. Now, if you want to be in COMPOS, you need to do physics and maths. You don't have to take them for A level, but I mean it helps because doing our physics is slightly above A level. So if you're not doing A level, it's going to be very difficult. Now you need to take both subjects. Yes. We will look. Do you look at the? Do you look at total physics and maths marks? Yes, we look at the total mark, and we look at them separately. So both. If you score less than 30% on either of them, you'll probably won't be able to get in. It has to be a I think last year it was 37 was the lowest we ever accepted, but yeah, you can't do 100 in maths and 0 in physics. Okay, obviously, so it has to be at least a threshold. There will be a threshold for each of them, and there will be a threshold on the total. Okay, the average percentage and separate as well. Please could you go over what a Euler Hamilton cycle is? Not off the top of my head. Sorry. Yeah, not on the top of my head. I need to look this. I need to look this up to explain it. N over 7. N over 7, and n is between 0 and 7, results in the same digits repeated. That's a nice question. Ben, uh, try writing out. Write out 1 over 7, 2 over 7, 3 over 7 as repeat decimals. As repeat decimals, and then same digits repeated. Yeah, Ben, you got me there. I'm not sure how to prove it. I know it repeats. I'd look for some. I'd look for an explanation on the internet. There are multiple videos on this, and I've seen some very good videos on the 7th. Number file is really good. So try searching there. If you get 60 in maths and 14 in physics, you will still qualify. Yes, the average is 50. If you get 60 in maths and 14 in physics, you will qualify because you got an average of 15. But yeah, it depends. It might be over 50 this year. What is a place for? So the place is for a the place is so I'm going through I'm going through the questions. I'm currently at the question that was asked at 6:29. A place is for the small tutorial groups. So we will have small tutorial groups with 6 students in each. You will all have a tutor, and you will have small sessions with only 6 students. The webinars will still go on, and everyone can attend the webinars. You don't have to be accepted to the program if you want to do just the webinar. So if you want to see me every day, every week, sorry, by all means show up, and we're always welcome that you attend. But also, if you're successful in your if you're successful in the in your entrance test, you will get in. You will get a tutor. Qualify for physics. I don't do physics for A level. Do I need to do the physics assignment? To take part in COMPOS, you need to take both subjects, as I already said. The problems in the promises from further maths. There will be some, and we will explain. We will explain them in the theoretical part. So we have theory for every assignment. We have theory and practice. Yes, Feynman lectures. I'd say Feynman Books, because he has some amazing books. One of them is called "Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman," and it's just it's a brilliant insight in the mind of a brilliant mind, the mind of a brilliant physicist. So it's something worth exploring. Or The Pleasure of Finding Things Out. The Pleasure of Finding Things Out is another book by Feynman. You can start with those because they are lectures on physics, and whereas the other books are much more light read. You know when skaters slide on water. Oh yes, Ice. That's exactly what Richard Feynman does. So search for Richard Feynman. Why is ice slippery? Richard Feynman, why is ice slippery? And there's a brilliant explanation by the brilliant Richard Feynman. How could you go about intuitively describing the dot scalar product as whilst I can put into practice? I have not found any explanation putting forth what represents a vector graphical format. A dot scalar product. The dot product is a projection, if you want an intuitive approach. So if you have two vectors, and this, and there's an angle theta. This is A. Okay, let's make it B. And this is A, vector A and vector B. And vector go A multiplied by B divided by modulus of vector B is the projection. So let's call it AB, vector AB. Yeah, a projection of A onto B. Projection of A onto B. So basically, it's the part is the component of vector A in the direction of B, and that's what the scalar product is. And a more beautiful thing, if you have a unit vector, so for example, if you have a vector I, and you have vector A, then A dot I is the projection of A onto I. Because if this, you would have the same thing, so this would be I, a projection of A onto I. If B was a unit vector, then this would be 1, and this would be the same thing. I hope that makes sense. So intuitively, it takes time. It takes time to realize this, but the scalar product is the projection of a vector on a given direction. So yes, okay. Found any, if it projects one vector to the other, yes, multiplies it with their lengths. Okay. Assuming what does not go to the program, does that hurt our chances of getting into Oxford? Absolutely not. Yes, there's no, you don't get blacklisted. So no way. I mean, doing the program definitely helps. Yeah, but we say we don't prepare people for Oxford. We prepare you to do physics, and what you decide to do with that physics, if you want to apply to Oxford, you'll probably find it much easier if you do our assignments. 3B, 1B. Okay, that's It shouldn't hurt your chances. No, thank you. Help answer. Okay. What is your favorite topic? A center of mass. We're in year 12, definitely center of mass is a really good one. So you should be looking forward to that one. Could you go through proving vectors are perpendicular? Such question problem 8 and 10. That is problem 8 and 10. So that's physics. Problem 8 and 10. Now, problem 10 I've done last week. And 8. With 8, I'd say try squaring them. Trying squaring the vectors. Squaring both sides. So yeah, I think so. Today's webinar 6. So go for webinar 4. In a webinar 4, I have gone through question problem 10 in physics on the vectors. How do we text you? On Telegram or send me an email. My email is on our website. What is average percent for extrapolating from prior years? Well, it's the second year we're doing it, so we don't really have. I'd say the average was 50% last year. Yes. Can you look at problem 17 in the year 12 problem sheet? It's problem 17. Okay. Well, I mean, this is fairly simple. You have a quadratic equation on top, and this, the only thing is that this cannot be 0. So you're solving two equations: x squared plus 3 minus a x minus 3a equals 0, and x squared minus x minus 12 is not equal to 0. You basically just need to solve them simultaneously. So you find x, x1, x2, and just check here. Okay, and x1 and x2 will be in terms of a. So it could be in terms of a. So it could be some function of a and some function g of a. I mean, it will be an expression in terms of a. Let's not make it over complicated. So these are expressions in terms of a. In terms of a. Hope that helps. I won't go any further with that. Okay. Problem. So will the webinars continue after October? Yes, webinars will be every week. Okay, every week until until mid-July. Okay, so no, I'm not leaving you. I will be here. It's just we've run out of questions for the first assignment. We are so next week I'm doing a webinar on trigonometry. So sorry, no. Next week I'm doing a webinar on kinematics, and the week after I'm doing trigonometry. Right. How many questions do we need to solve? Probably more than a half. At a minimum, I would I want to do medicine in Oxford. Is this helpful in any way? Of course. If you if you if you manage to do the problems, you like people who do well in Compos, they don't have problems doing PAT and MAT tests, MAT entrance tests. And especially because you will be working with an Oxford tutor, most likely Oxford tutor, uh, you will understand how to present your thoughts like Oxford style, Oxford style, the way you are expected to do in webinars. So it will definitely help. Definitely won't hurt. Webinar 5 part 3 for physics is not uploaded. How come? Pretty sure it is. No? Webinar 05. It is uploaded. It's just not added to the. Oh no, that's year 13. Year 12. Okay, yes, it's. I just need to add it to the webinars. Okay, that's fine. Okay, hope that helps. If you get like 30 on maths and 70 on physical, the average we use to calculate whether you'd get in or not. Yes, the average would be used, but 30, having 30 in one subject is probably going to be too low. So we'll be looking at least 40, 60, right? The bottom line. Don't aim for the bottom, aim for the top. What does the star mean for question 13? It means a difficult question. In the future, we will have questions labeled with stars, and they will be non-mandatory questions. But it will be clearly stated that these questions are not mandatory. They're not included in calculating your scores. But this one is included. And those who attend webinars benefit because actually I've done this question in webinars, webinar 1. Okay, any more questions? Any more questions? Oh, it's called COMPOS. I don't know if you can find it. Let's see. Let's see if you can find it. COMPOS. Right. Yeah, it's called COMPOS, but there's another channel called COMPOS apparently, and yeah, there's a link. There's a link on our website. Oh, sorry, no, the website has an old link, but I will update that. I will update that. Okay. For an extra mathematical reading, what books, resources? Just a second. Just got an important idea. Okay, can I please ask everyone just to fill in one question? It is anonymous. Should be anonymous. Responses. Just one question on the responses. Okay. Okay. Right. So I just want to know whether you find this webinar useful. I don't want to make us I want to make an anonymous question. So please please reply. And what is the name for the channel? Yes, for extra mathematical reading, what books, resources would you suggest to gain the ability to carry out higher responsibility applications, mainly around pure maths? Well, anything that's mentioned above, like 3 blue, 1 brown, it's a nice resource. Reading. Not off the top of my head. I had some books. Try something in the searching something in the lines of maths for physicists. Maths for physicists. These are really good. The question is in the question is in the. I sent you a link. Can you please reply? It should be anonymous. Yeah, I don't see any names, so it is anonymous. Right. So where are we? So I've sent a link in the chat, in the Zoom chat. Oh, I'm very sorry. Sending out to just one person. Very sorry about that. Just one. It's a one question. It's a one question survey. Please let me know how useful you found this Q&A. Did you manage to get an answer to your questions? All right, and I think we'll be finishing. You know, I know a book. It's called Can You Solve My Problems? It's Alex Balos. Very nice one. Sorry, it's yeah, Alex Balos, Can You Solve the Problems? Really good one. So that's one thing you can do. It's not exactly pure maths, but it gets your brain it gets your brain thinking. Anything else? Yeah. All right. So you're welcome. See you next week then. And yeah, good luck on submitting the assignment. Yeah. Right. See you. Bye.